Okay, now let's look at the exact same problem, but let's look at the 95% confidence interval of this same data. So we'll go back to StatCrunch and follow the exact same steps, proportion to sample, and with the summary. And then we will enter in our data just as we did before. So in the study, 105 out of the 105, out of the 196 men developed the cold, and 57 out of the 142 women developed the cold. This time, though, we are looking at a confidence interval, and our problem asks for the 95% confidence level, so we will leave that the same. You can click on next or calculate. The next step again is just that store output and data table, which we don't need to do. So click on calculate, and we will be given our confidence interval. You notice the lower limit is 0.0277 approximately. Our upper limit is 0.241 approximately. Basically, when you're looking at a confidence interval, when you're looking at a two proportion or a two sample test, that type of thing, you are looking at the difference between the two. So if you would take the first one that we entered, so the men's proportion, subtract the women's proportion, this is the difference between the two. If you notice, both numbers are positive. That is also an indicator that there is a difference, and it's actually an indicator more so that the men are probably higher, there's a higher proportion of the men than the women. Because if we take the men and subtract the women, we'd expect to get a positive proportion if the men were greater. We can't actually say that those are our results unless we did a two proportion test and said that men were greater than women. But our confidence interval gives us a pretty good indication that that is probably the case. So again, you would write them in parentheses and put the lower limit first, comma, the upper limit.